I won the first prize, which amounted to 370 million yuan after taxes. After telling my parents about it, they immediately handed the lottery ticket to my sister's boyfriend. Let Mwin know our family's strength. Your sister marrying into a wealthy family won't be a problem. What they didn't expect was the next day, Mwin fled abroad with the money. After discovering he was a fraud, my sister jumped off the 9th floor balcony. My mother also went mad. That night, while my father and I were sound asleep, she set the house on fire and killed the entire family. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn back to the day I won the lottery. The fear and despair of being trapped in the flames were still vivid in my mind. My body trembled uncontrollably as I snapped back to reality. Before me was a happy family of 3, and I felt like an outsider who didn't belong. The table was filled with dishes my sister loved. My mother smiled sweetly, eating while adding food to my sister's bowl. Huan, when are you and Ma when planning to set the wedding date? Lai Huan chewed her food absent-mindedly. Her lips curled into a smug smile. Mom. As the heir to a wealthy family, Mwin plans to focus on his career first. As for our relationship, it's always been stable, so you don't need to worry. How could I not worry? At this point, my mother glanced at me out of the corner of her eye. Don't follow your sister's example. What good is all that education? After graduation, you'll end up with a dead-end job. Why not take advantage of your youth to meet wealthy people? In a few years, when you're older, it'll be hard to find a husband. Lai Huan heard this and lazily lifted her eyelids to glance at me. She sneered. That's true. When I dropped out of high school, you and Dad took turns scolding me. Now you know which of your 2 daughters is worth relying on. Don't you? My mom chuckled. Mom knows. But don't blame me for nagging. You must hurry up with your marriage to Mwin. Good things aren't just for you to covet. Find an opportunity to get married and avoid any complications. My father, who had been eating silently, couldn't help but chime in. Mom's right. I ate my meal in silence, not participating in their conversation. I tried my best to make myself as inconspicuous as possible. After dinner, I washed the dishes and quickly returned to my room. I locked the door from the inside. I carefully took the lottery ticket out of my pocket. I opened my phone and checked today's winning numbers. As expected, I had won the jackpot. I suppressed my excitement. I hid the lottery ticket inside my phone case. This time, I decided to keep the secret of winning the lottery to myself, telling no one. The next morning, I went out to work as usual. As soon as I left the neighborhood, I made up an excuse to take the day off from work. I then took a taxi to the Lottery Redemption Center and followed the procedures to claim my prize. Before leaving, the staff member eagerly invited me to accept an interview as the winner. Miss, don't worry. We have various styles of wigs and masks for you to choose from, ensuring your personal privacy is fully protected. To be safe, I politely declined. No interview. But I'm willing to donate 5 million to children in impoverished mountainous areas. Soon, under the guidance of the professionals on site, I quickly filled out a donation check for 5 million. Finally, I signed my name confidently. After leaving the redemption center, I deliberately lingered outside for a while. I kept wandering around until 6 o'clock in the evening. It was time for office workers to head home. I pretended to be tired and returned home. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Mwin dressed in a suit hugging Lai Huan, who was wearing a sexy tight dress and preparing to leave. Mwin saw me and raised his eyebrows with a leer smile. Oh, it's you, sister. Was work tiring? I resisted the urge to roll my eyes. Avoiding his gaze, I lowered my head to change my shoes. Thanks for asking. Work was okay. Mwin's voice carried a teasing laugh. Sis, you sure can endure hardship. Unlike my little Huan, who needs to be pampered and protected. Yuan, who was always susceptible to such flattery, smiled sweetly. She blushed and hugged Mwin's arm, shaking it. Husband, let's go quickly. I'm so hungry. All right. All right. I'll listen to my wife. Let's go eat something delicious. After saying that, the two of them ignored my existence. They left the house clinging to each other like conjoined twins. 3. When I got home and put down my bag, my mom walked out of the kitchen with a serious expression, leaving my dad alone inside to cook. And Mom has a question for you. Do you have any money on you? The question caught me off guard, causing my heart to race. Could it be that my winning the lottery had been exposed? No. That's impossible. I quickly composed myself. I kept a tired expression on my face, furrowing my brows slightly. What's wrong, Mom? I just gave you all my paycheck last week. I only kept a little for commuting and pocket money. My mom puckered her lips, giving me a sharp once-over, clearly not believing me. You've been working all these years and haven't saved a single penny. I thought for a moment and decided to go along with her. A little, not much. How much? Around 6,000. From my mom's expression, I could tell she wasn't satisfied with the number I gave her. But she sighed and quickly accepted it. Every little bit helps. Give me the money. I frowned, pretending to be unwilling to compromise. Mom, this is all my savings. What do you need the money for? Seeing that I was insistent on hearing a reason, she couldn't hide it anymore and told me the truth. Your future brother-in-law is facing some business difficulties and urgently needs funds to keep things afloat. I immediately understood. It turned out that the scammer couldn't resist and had started looking for excuses to extort money. I reminded her, Mom, isn't his family wealthy? Why would they need to borrow money from an ordinary family like ours? My mom heard this and glared at me disapprovingly. What do you know? Mwin wants to break free from his family's dependence, build a successful career on his own so his father will recognize him and hand over the family business to him. Borrowing money on his own is also a test of his social connections within the family. And a man as outstanding as him must have plenty of women around him. Although he's deeply in love with your sister, he's never mentioned marriage. If we help him out when he needs it and show our sincerity, your sister could have a chance to marry into a wealthy family. I nodded as I listened. But inside, I couldn't help but marvel at how skillful this man was at deceiving people, brainwashing my mother so thoroughly. Seeing that I hadn't agreed yet, my mother grew impatient. Anyway, you must come up with the money. If you delay your sister's marriage, you'll be ruining our entire family. I felt utterly heartbroken, but a sliver of hope still clung to my heart. Mom, I'm your daughter, too. Don't I mean anything to you at all? Daughter. My mother's gaze suddenly turned hateful. Have you ever treated me like a mother? I broke you up with that penniless man, and all you've done in the past few years is refuse to date anyone just to defy me. At your age, you still won't marry. Do I even need to invest in you anymore? It had come to this. The pain in my heart only made me more determined. I silently returned to my room and took out a bank card with over 60,000 yuan in it. Mom, all my savings are here. What if I can't get this money back in the future? If you can't get it back, I won't compensate you. Consider this money as the price to sever our mother-daughter bond. Don't forget, if your sister marries into a wealthy family, you'll benefit from it, too. Besides, I've raised you all these years and spent a lot of money on you. Consider this money as repayment for everything I've done for you. I nodded, recalling how she had mercilessly set fire to our entire family in my previous life. 1,000 emotions swirled in my heart, ultimately condensing into a single word. All right. Once the matter of borrowing money was temporarily resolved, I decided to use the bonus to buy a house first. I had always wanted to move out and live independently, but my previous financial situation didn't allow it. Now that I had money, I should start planning for my future. I arrived at the most expensive upscale neighborhood in the city. When the salesperson asked me about my preferred floor plan, I replied with just 4 words. Big expensive. The salesman smiled broadly and led me to the sightseeing car heading toward the villa area. The neighborhood was filled with expensive greenery and beautiful scenery. After admiring the views along the way, the car came to a stop. I looked up and saw a tall figure walking out of the model home ahead. Strange yet familiar. Forgotten yet nostalgic. It was you. He also saw me. His tall, slender figure seemed to pause for a moment. I froze for a second, realizing what had happened. I quickly turned my face away, my butt glued to the seat, unwilling to get out. The handsome salesman jumped out of the car with agile movements, made a gesture in front of me, and said, "Miss Lee, please get out. We've arrived at the model home in the villa area we're going to tour." I stiffened my neck, not daring to look back, and said, "I know, but I have to use the restroom." The salesman remained smiling brightly. "The restroom is also nearby. Please follow me. But I want to use the restroom up ahead." "Driver, please start the car." As I stood there waiting for the driver to start the tour bus, my body was suddenly lifted off the ground. I instinctively looked up. I met Dwayne's ambiguous gaze. 4 years had passed. I struggled to steady the panic in my heart. The salesperson standing beside me looked completely bewildered. He stared at you in disbelief. "Mr. Zhuang. Good afternoon. You know, Miss Lee, Mr." I was taken aback. I looked at him again. You lowered his eyes slightly, a self-deprecating smile curving his lips. "I'll take Miss Lee to the restroom." I stayed in the restroom for a long time. After preparing myself mentally, I slowly walked out. The young salesperson had disappeared. At some point, only Zhuang Yui was waiting for me at the end of the hallway. When I appeared, he looked at me and smiled. "May I take Miss Lee to tour the model home?" I nodded and quietly followed him forward. While showing me around the house, you also professionally explained the design style and concept of the property. I listened distractedly. Several times, I accidentally caught his gaze and quickly looked away in panic. When we reached the master bedroom, I walked in casually and looked around. When I turned back, I saw Ye's tall figure blocking the door. I instinctively avoided his gaze and said, "Could you please step aside?" Instead of stepping back, he suddenly grabbed my hand and fixed his gaze on my fingers. "Miss Lee, you're not married yet." My face flushed, following the slender fingers on my wrist. I looked up and retorted defiantly, "You're not married either." Huang Ye's gaze grew intense and restrained. "I've been waiting for you." My hand trembled. "What about you? Are you waiting for me, too?" You and I were lovers in college. The year we graduated, my parents came to attend my graduation ceremony. After they found out about you, they sneered and humiliated him in front of the entire class. You said your family is from a small county in a third-tier city. My daughter told me you're a good student and won the scholarship every year at school. Are you really that dedicated to your studies? Or is it because your family is poor and needs the money to support you? I don't care about your relationship with my daughter. Today, her father and I are making this clear. My daughter will never marry a poor man. That day, under the whispers and stares of our classmates, you with red eyes handed me the fresh bouquet. His voice trembled slightly as he spoke. "Enin, congratulations on your graduation." I gripped his hand tightly, wanting to say, "I'm sorry," before he left. But before the words could leave my mouth, my mother quickly pried my hand away. She pulled me to her side, pointing at my head and shouting, "Are you ashamed of yourself? As a girl, you're throwing yourself at a man." You have no shame. But I do. Auntie. Please don't scold her. I know what to do now. Dwayne, you said this. Forced a smile at me. Then turned and left. I watched his lonely, dejected figure. All contact with him came to an abrupt end that day. Years later, we reunited. You and I confronted each other about what happened back then. I'm sorry. My mother couldn't say anything decent. So you don't have to forgive her. But please don't take those words to heart. I didn't take them to heart. Guangya's eyes were filled with unabashed affection and determination. Nin. I want to pursue you again. I have money now and Auntie might agree to us. How much money? The residential complex we just visited. My company developed it. Hearing this, even I, now a wealthy woman, couldn't help but gasp inwardly. If we estimate conservatively, it's worth 1.8 billion. That evening when I returned home, my parents and younger sister were gathered around the sofa chatting, their laughter filling the house. Seeing me return, Lai Huan sitting between my parents looked at me with a smug expression. Sis Emma when proposed to me tonight. Really? I smiled indifferently. That SS truly congratulations to you. Lai Huan curled her lips into a cold smile. Ever since we were little, you've always acted like the older sister, lecturing me to study hard and choose the right people. Now our lives are worlds apart. What do you have to say about that? I changed my shoes, stood up straight, and looked seriously at Li Huan's face, which was adorned with makeup. What I want to say, you might not want to hear. It's fine to listen one last time. Just consider it. The younger sister giving the older sister some face. I paused for a moment before speaking. My advice is don't marry Mwin. As soon as the words left my mouth, a flash of anger crossed Li Huan's eyes. But she quickly smiled. I knew it. You're jealous of me. Haha. Mom. Did you hear that? Your Lily is trying to stop me from marrying into a wealthy family and prevent our family from living a better life. My mother heard it. She jumped up from the sofa, walked over with a disgusted expression, and pushed my head with her finger. Have you been studying too much and gone crazy? This is an opportunity our family has sacrificed everything for. I mortgaged the house and borrowed money from every relative just to raise enough for Ma's business. If you don't understand, just shut up. Who are you to criticize your sister's life? Just go wash up and go to bed early. You'll be destined for hard labor all your life. I quickly caught the key words in her few sentences and laughed bitterly. You mortgaged our house. So what if I did? It's my house. I can do whatever I want with it. What right do you have to speak? My mother crossed her arms, looking as though she had every right to speak. I ignored her and changed the subject. Mom, you asked me to lend your sister 6,000, saying it would sever our mother-daughter bond. Is that true? My mom, probably thinking I was demanding repayment, quickly denied it. I said it. So it's true. All right, I'll move out tomorrow. Before my mom could respond, Lai Huan clapped her hands in approval. Sister, you're so principled. You're not going to benefit from this wealth that has nothing to do with you. Are you? I patted her on the shoulder and smiled. This overwhelming wealth must be enjoyed solely by my beloved younger sister. The next morning, the moving company's truck arrived promptly downstairs. The movers efficiently packed my personal belongings and loaded them onto the truck. As the truck drove away, I hailed a taxi and left the home I had lived in for 28 years. The newly purchased villa would still take some time to renovate and move into. In the meantime, I rented a high-end apartment far from home. The location was in the city center with comprehensive concierge and security services. Even if they ever found out I was living here, I wouldn't have to worry about them coming to cause trouble. However, on the day I moved in, the residents across the hall seemed to have moved in on the same day as well. Standing in the hallway, I watched two teams of moving company workers carry different pieces of furniture into the two opposing doors. For a moment, I felt a sense of karmic connection. In the evening, after everything at home was packed up, I carried a fruit basket and mustered the courage to ring the doorbell across the hall, thinking about how we would be neighbors for the next few months. I thought we could at least get to know each other and help out if needed. But the one who opened the door wasn't anyone else. It was you, the guy who had asked me to get back together a few days ago. He casually rested his left hand on the door frame and gave a faint smile. And what a coincidence. Even if I were an idiot, I wouldn't believe that moving in on the same day was a coincidence. You were secretly investigating me. Dwayne raised his hands in surrender with an innocent expression. The apartments in this area are also under my company's name. So I knew when you were renting. So you were following me. I just wanted to be close to you. What's wrong with that? Seeing you say these words so seriously, I felt an uncontrollable tension. I turned to run away, but you grabbed the handle of the fruit basket. Isn't this fruit basket for me? Take it. I let go of the fruit basket and handed it to him, but his other hand grabbed my wrist. I can't eat it all by myself. Come eat with me. He didn't wait for my refusal. The force on my wrist tightened, pulling me inside. In the days that followed, I deliberately made mistakes at work. My superiors couldn't take it anymore and fired me. I took the severance pay and left the company happily. I systematically cut off all ties with my biological family. They only had my phone number to contact me. There was no other way for them to find out anything about me. That day, I was shopping at the supermarket with you, buying some household items for the home. Suddenly, I received a call from my mother saying there was good news to announce and asking me to come to a private room at a hotel tonight. I agreed without hesitation. After hanging up, I noticed you, who was usually so composed, seemed unusually nervous. Do you need me to drive you there? He asked cautiously. I shook my head and took his hand. You're coming with me tonight. You grew even more nervous. His eyes filled with surprise and a touch of shyness asked, should I bring my asset certificates? I playfully tapped his head. You're so silly. We can be rich and happy together. Why give them a chance to bleed us dry? Tonight, everything is up to me. In the evening, you and I arrived at the hotel on time. The elevator opened. Looking at the lavishly decorated restaurant, I couldn't help but marvel in my heart. Mwin really went all out to pull off this big scam. Fortunately, you and I were well prepared. He walked behind me. He fidgeted uncomfortably, tugging at the oversized shirt I had bought him at a street stall. Ian, is this really okay for me to wear? I walked over and gave him a big hug. It's fine. Trust me. Tonight, just follow my lead. Yui nodded obediently like a little puppy. Okay. In the private room, Mwin, dressed in counterfeit designer clothes, was holding a glass of wine and chatting with my parents. When we walked in, everyone's expressions changed instantly. Especially my mother. The moment she saw you, her previously kind expression turned harsh. How did he end up here? He's my boyfriend. I thought today was the only opportunity to introduce him to everyone. As soon as I finished speaking, you politely greeted my parents. Hello, uncle and aunt. My mother's expression grew even more displeased. However, out of consideration for appearances, she couldn't say anything in front of Mwin. On the other hand, Mwin's brows furrowed slightly as he stood up and shook his hand. Zach. Hello. May I ask what your brother-in-law does for a living? I feel like I've seen your brother-in-law before. You shook his hand confidently. Following the persona I had carefully crafted for him, he began to speak seriously but nonsensically. He works in the clothing industry, running a small business. Oh, does your brother-in-law have his own factory? I have my own stall. It's not fixed. It mainly depends on foot traffic. Mwin's initially probing expression betrayed a hint of surprise. I seized the moment. I grabbed a large bag of clothes I had snatched from a street vendor and placed it in front of everyone. This is a special gift he prepared for everyone. Don't be shy. Take some and share. My mother struggled to suppress her anger. Lai Huan watched with a smug expression. Mwin's expression shifted from surprise to contempt. Only my father. This man who knew how to remain composed in the face of major events. He silently took a bag of clothes and diffused the tense atmosphere at the table. Everyone, please sit down. The waiter can serve the dishes now. After the appetizers were served, the dinner gathering began to return to its original purpose. Today's gathering has something joyful to announce. Lai Huan said sweetly, clinging to Mwin's arm with half her body pressed against him. I'm pregnant, so we've decided to move the wedding up to next month. Upon hearing this news, my parents' faces nearly split from smiling. Really? Huan? That's wonderful. Pregnancy is wonderful. Marriage is wonderful. I took a sip of soup, sensing that there was more to the story. I asked directly. There must be something else you want to announce, right? Mwin put down his knife and fork. Sis. You've been working hard in the corporate world for years. You're sharp. Here's the thing. Huan and I are about to start a new family. So there are some work-related issues I don't want to keep from everyone. My father entrusted me with a major project. And I need a significant amount of money to grease the wheels. My older brother is also keeping a close eye on this project. Basically, whoever secures this project first will inherit the family's largest business. Since we're all going to be family, I won't beat around the bush. Look at dad and mom. Sister and brother-in-law. Can you help me out? What he said was more or less what I had expected. I felt a sense of relief and took a comfortable sip of soup. After finishing the soup, I looked up and realized that dad, mom, and Lai Huan were all staring at me. It seemed like they were waiting for me to make a statement. I don't have any money, I said bluntly. Every month I handed over my salary to mom. The 6,000 yuan I saved over the years was also taken by mom under the pretext of buying out our mother-daughter relationship. I lost my job at the company and now I'm renting a place in a shanty town. You took my hand and held it tightly in his palm. He looked at Mwin seriously. If my brother-in-law needs money, I'll clear out the clothes in the warehouse and lend it to you. My mother couldn't stand it anymore and interrupted you. Enough of this. Those few pieces of clothes from the street stall aren't worth anything. Don't bring them out to embarrass yourself. Yui nodded, looking at my mother earnestly. Then Mrs. Ma, do you have any ideas? At this, all eyes on the table turned toward her. My mother had always wanted to curry favor with Mwin, the wealthy family's son-in-law. Plus, with Lai Huan's pregnancy, our family was in a bind. My mother held her ground and announced loudly under everyone's gaze, since we're family now, I'll sell everything I have to raise money and support my son-in-law. Mwin was moved to clap his hands. But I couldn't help but ask again. We've already mortgaged our house and borrowed from all our relatives. What else can we sell? That's none of your business. My mother glared at me. Shut up and eat. It was best that I wasn't involved. I naturally withdrew from the scam. Soon when I heard from relatives that my parents had moved into a rented apartment less than 50 square m, I realized they had sold the house and the car. NT believes you. Tell me the truth. What happened to your family? Mom borrowed 20,000 from me recently. Can your family afford to pay it back? I sat in the massage chair enjoying the relaxation. Aunt. My mom has already cut off all ties with me. You'll have to talk to her about this. But my younger sister is about to marry into a wealthy family. The wedding is next month. So you won't lose your money. Don't worry. On the day of the wedding, you and I got up early to blow up balloons and paste wedding decorations. We tried our best to decorate this cramped, less than 50 square meter rental apartment to make it look festive. He saw how tired I was from blowing up balloons. A phone call summoned a group of company interns. When the interns flooded into the small house, my parents were terrified. You calmly explained, "These are regular customers from my street stall. They're all very kind and wanted to help out." The interns, who had been instructed in advance, nodded obediently. They worked diligently, and soon the house was decorated in a festive manner. When they left, each of them received a job offer from the company, and they were all grinning from ear to ear. As the bride, Yuan, was getting ready in the room, she was yelling into the phone for the nth time. "It's almost noon. Why haven't you come to pick me up yet? We've already missed 3 auspicious times. Do you even want to marry me?" The makeup artist held a pearl flower, nervously inserting it into Yuan's hair bun, daring not to breathe. On the other end of the phone, Mwin used some excuse to stall her again, once more calming Yuan down. Dwayne, you and I exchanged glances, realizing that today's wedding couldn't proceed normally, but we silently agreed to say nothing. In the afternoon, Ma's wedding procession hadn't arrived yet. He called Yuan in a panicked voice. "Honey, something's come up. It's just some work-related issues. If I don't handle it properly, it'll directly affect my inheritance rights within the family. You guys go to the hotel first. Have dinner with the guests. And don't keep them waiting. I'll rush over as soon as I'm done." He hung up before she could respond. Yuan's phone was on speaker. Not only Yuan, but even my parents' faces turned grim. What's going on with this Mon? On such an important day as our wedding? He's letting us down at the last minute. What could possibly be more important than marrying my daughter? My mother frowned and finished speaking, and my father waved his hand to signal her to stop. Yuan is pregnant. Don't get so worked up. Let's just follow Mwin's instructions and go to the hotel. We can eat while we wait. I nodded in agreement. Right. Let's go to the hotel. We've been busy since morning and haven't eaten anything. Everyone's hungry. Eat. 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 All you ever think about is eating. Yuan, who had been holding back her anger all morning, finally let it out, shouting at me at the top of her lungs. Zhongyu immediately stepped in front of me to protect me. He looked straight at Yuan. "Seriously," he said. "I'm hungry, too." The wedding ceremony proceeded as planned. The only thing missing was the groom. At every stage, Yuan stood alone on the stage in her white wedding dress, her face dark and gloomy. The guests in attendance were also attending their first wedding with only the bride present. While eating at the banquet, they were also gossiping. "Hey, do you think the bride and groom had a fight? I heard the groom hasn't shown up since this morning." "What? Is the wedding even going to happen?" "Of course. They're getting married. Look. The bride has to attend, even if she's alone. I heard the groom's family is extremely wealthy." "What's the groom's name?" "I just saw it on the welcome poster at the entrance. His name is Mwin." "Mwin? Have you heard of him?" "I haven't." "I haven't either. That's strange. There are only a few wealthy families in our city. The richest one is supposedly surnamed." You and I pretended not to hear. We sat in the corner, eating heartily. I never thought the best banquet I'd ever eat in my life would be my sister's wedding banquet. I chewed on the lobster in my mouth and sighed tearfully. You stopped eating shrimp and looked at me seriously. "Enin, you're just too hungry." "I promise our wedding banquet will be better than my sister's." I spat out a piece of unpeeled shrimp shell, teasing him on purpose. "Who said I'd marry you?" You pouted, looking hurt. Seeing that I couldn't peel the shrimp properly, he began to peel them for me with care. Just as I was about to say something comforting, the groom appeared. The door swung open. Mwin, wearing a black leather jacket and a baseball cap, was escorted inside by several police officers. The guests stopped eating and turned their gossiping glances toward him. With a scandal to watch. Who would bother eating? Lai, who had been looking gloomy all day on stage, perked up the moment she saw Mwin. She stumbled down from the stage and stumbled toward the police. Hello. What did my husband do? Martin is your husband? Who? The police officer pulled out an ID card. This man's real name is Martin. 34 years old. A serial fraudster we've been tracking for years. We received an anonymous tip from a concerned citizen and arrested him at the airport as he was attempting to flee the country. Lai Huan's body swayed, unable to believe the man who had deceived her for so long. You've been lying to me all along. As a fraudster, Martin's acting skills were truly impressive. Even now that his identity had been exposed, he still shed crocodile tears. Wife. I was wrong to lie to you. But my love for you is real. Believe me. I believe you. Lai wiped the tears from her face. The next moment, she suddenly charged toward the nearest guest seat, grabbed a fork from the table, and turned to attack Martin. I believe. Mom. I'll kill you. You bastard. Unfortunately, before the fork could pierce Martin's body, the two were separated by the well-trained police. Miss Li Huan. Please calm down. Your actions also constitute the crime of intentional assault. Hiding behind the police, Martin continued to cry shamelessly. Come on. Kill me. If doing this will make you feel better. Kill me. I deserve to die. But please remember our children are innocent. He shouldn't have mentioned the children. The moment he did, Lai Huan lost control and screamed wildly. Screaming, she suddenly clutched her stomach in pain and sat down on the ground. The police officer closest to her immediately rushed over to check on her. At that moment, we all overlooked one person. My mother. My mother suddenly stood up from the main table holding a bowl of hot soup and charged toward Martin. Taking advantage of everyone's distraction, she quickly poured the scalding hot soup over Martin's body. Even the soup bowl was precisely placed on his head. Martin was truly crying now. A 34-year-old man crying genuinely sounded completely different from his earlier acting. Every wail was filled with genuine emotion. My mother was like a mad monkey, still as fierce as ever despite being in her 50s, jumping around wildly. You bastard. You dared to scam my family. Not only did you get my daughter pregnant, but you also manipulated our entire family. Officer, please shoot him. This scum deserves to die. My father pushed through the crowd and rushed to my mother's side. He supported my mother, who was still cursing, and with what little sanity he had left, told the police, please help us get our money back before you shoot him. This scammer has taken too much money from us. At this point, the relatives who had been sitting in the guest section, grinning and enjoying the spectacle, could no longer stay seated. It turned out that the money they had lent had all ended up in the scammer's pockets. Now they were like wild boars let loose, screaming and charging forward. My aunt was the first to charge, grabbing my mother's arm and shouting, "Show sh. I only lent you my life savings because of you. You must return it to me no matter what." Exactly. You promised with your life that your daughter would marry into a wealthy family. I even borrowed the money for my coffin from my husband without telling him. If he divorces me, I won't let you off either. More and more relatives gathered to confront them. Seeing that she couldn't handle it anymore, my mother lay down on the ground, rolling around and screaming, "I have no money. Take my life instead. Come on. Break my arm and sell it." My father rushed over to stop her, pointing a finger at Martin. "All your money is with him. Go ask him for it." After saying that, the crowd surged forward again. My sister's wedding made the news, becoming the biggest laughingstock in the city. My mother took Lai Huan to the hospital for an abortion. After the surgery, Lai Huan left home, her body weak and exhausted. 2 months later, I found out from her friends that after leaving home, she took a job as a nightclub hostess to earn money to pay off her debts. I don't know if she felt ashamed or if she felt like she was a burden to the family. Except for sending money back every month, she never contacted us. However, the money she sent back was like a drop in the bucket compared to the debt the family owed. Every day, people came to our rented apartment to demand payment. At one point, my father was so angry he ended up in the hospital. My mother fell into depression for half a year. Half a year later, she seemed to have suddenly come to her senses, placing all her hopes on me and you. And when are you and Yuan planning to get married? No matter whether he has money or not, the bride price must be at least 20,000. If he can't come up with 20,000, let him borrow it. I won't agree to your marriage until I see the money. I noddedly peeling an apple in my hand. Don't worry, Mom. You can't afford that much. So we've decided not to marry. You think your 2 daughters are some kind of hot commodity trying to drive up the price? Let me tell you, you'll just end up with nothing. After saying that, I handed her the apple. We can't afford anything good at home. Just eat an apple. I'm leaving now. I have to go set up a street vendor stall with you. If we're late, we'll have to fight another vendor for a spot. With that, I left amid my mother's sighs. I went down to the parking lot. I got into the new sports car I had parked in the corner on purpose, stepped on the gas, and drove out of the old neighborhood toward the house in the city center. Before I even got home, Jane Yu called. Honey, where do you want to go for our honeymoon? France or Bali? Either is fine. Should I let my in-laws know? After all, we'll be gone for several months. Will they find out we got married secretly? We can let them know. Just say we were fighting over a stall under the overpass and lost. So we need to stay in the hospital. We can also ask them for some medical expenses. Don't worry. My mom will be too scared to contact us for half a year if she hears about the money. He laughed lightly. All right, I'll do whatever you say.